We are live.
We are live, Casey.
Orange Bowl, Fighting Texas Aggie Meltdown Show. I think we need to reset a little bit because we've been doing this since the Arkansas game, live post-game show. The idea was to bridge the gap between the end of the game and the Texags post-game show.
Yes.
To talk about the game, to talk about the meltdown that was inevitably going to happen on Texags after the game. And so we've been doing this since Arkansas.
Correct.
There haven't been any real meltdowns. We do victory scotch after a victory. The plan was to do some trash bourbon after a loss. We haven't had to do that.
We haven't, have we?
We have not. And so we've been doing the show for a few weeks. But actually, COVID kind of conspired against us. We missed some games. And then you were actually at the Tennessee game, so we couldn't do the live show for that one. So actually, since we did the last one of these live after a game, we've picked up like 400 Twitter followers.
400.
Yeah. So
thank you guys.
Yeah.
It's awesome. I like to think we're on top of that, our Twitter game during these games and then really during the week, right? Because I'd say we specialize in dunking on idiot media personalities.
There's been a lot of that.
There's a lot. There's fish in a barrel these days.
Yes.
And there's going to be more fish in the barrel because A&M just closed out their season with another big victory in the Orange Bowl, beating UNC 41-27. We're here for all of that. Okay, tonight we're going to talk about it, but I need some victory scotch.
There you go.
And you in the show prep, you forgot to hook me up.
Sorry, there you go.
So
I started without you.
Hey, Distillers Edition, Lagavulin 16.
Yeah. I've got some Avalor.
Very nice.
Funda? I don't know.
However you say it, but cheers to an unbelievable Texas A&M football season.
Yep.
Yeah.
So we do this show after every game. We do some midweek shows sometimes. We'll keep doing it as much as people are kind of listening. And recently we started Spotify, podcasting in general. All these shows, the recordings will go to podcasts. You can get it on Spotify, Google Podcasts. So we'll tweet out some links to that. Make sure you like and subscribe to this if you want to watch it this way. But here we are.
Here we are. We've got a lot of celebrating to do because it's funny. Being an Aggie, our entire lives, basically, you're always waiting for the next shoe to drop.
Yeah.
And it just hasn't come for 3 months. They just kept rolling, and we kind of don't know what to do with our hands.
We don't know what to do,
right? We just know that we're 9-1, right?
9-1, 8 in a row, 8 double-digit wins in a row.
8? No, A&M only plays close games. Casey.
Only close games, except we win by double digits every time.
Every time,
yeah. What's his name, the Bear on game day today saying, they play too many close games. I'm not picking them to cover the 8.5 when we have won every single game this year except for the first 2, but now 8 in a row by more than 8.5 points.
Right. So what gives?
I don't know.
But you know what? Suck it.
Who gives a crap?
Suck it because A&M won again. And the game actually went kind of the way I thought it was going to go. We talked about this last night. I thought it would be close. I didn't expect some big, blowout game. And, man, it was a tough one. It was tough. There were several points in this football game where A&M was behind. But, honestly, I was never worried. I really wasn't worried.
I was not worried for most of the first 2.5 quarters. I was starting to get worried. Into the fourth quarter, I mean, you talked about being Aggies waiting for the other shoe to drop, and it sure felt to me like it was dropping. But there definitely came a point there in the fourth quarter where I think it was the second time Kellen hit Anais on that kind of deep out and got that drive rolling. At that point, even prior to the score, I was like, okay, I think we're about to take control of this game, and we did. It pretty much went exactly like you thought, although I think you really felt like we would look more in control most of the game, just not really distance ourselves.
No, that's true. That is true. I just felt like it was going to be a grinded out type game, and that A&M, I did think they would eventually cover. I did. I thought, late in the game, they'll do what they've always done, which is grind a team down and score in the last couple of minutes and put that pressure on that team. And that's what happened. But you're right. The path to get to that point, and by the way, that point was at 4 minutes to go in the game. It was tied with 4 minutes to go. And then Devon Achane, number 6, a guy we have been
screaming for.
And waiting for, right? Like screaming for, because there's reasons the kid hasn't played, but just waiting for him to take over late in a game. He comes in, I think it was a 1st and 10. And, Wiedemeyer pulls from the right side, has a great block. Achane nearly falls down, manages to keep his balance going over Wiedemeyer.
Yeah, Wiedemeyer almost leg whips him.
Yeah.
And then as he's struggling to regain his balance, a defensive back from North Carolina comes in and hits Achane pretty hard, and I thought it has to be over at that point. And he showed why he should have been a 5-star. He was a borderline 5-star, and why that guy has elite athleticism and balance. Because how do you come back from that? There's only a handful of guys in all of the NCAA that can do what he did on that run. And then once he kind of slipped the sideline there, I turned to the wife and said, he's gone. You knew, that's the kind of thing we've been missing, because we've got guys that can break those runs and get to that point. But we've been missing the guy that won't be caught from behind in that situation. Right. And that's Devon Achane.
Dude, as soon as he got to the second level and broke free of the defender, the guy that hit him, it was like, and we've done this a million times this year. when he comes in the game, it's like you stand up because you're going, if he gets clear, nobody's catching him, and that's what happened. And that wasn't his first carry. He had come in for Spiller. Spiller was hobbling. Spiller's been dealing with some kind of nagging injury for the last 4 or 5 games, and that's why we've been kind of like, hey, we really want to see him. Bring him in. It turns out he did have a nagging injury against Tennessee, which is supposedly why they limited him in that game. And went with Anaya Smith. That got dropped on TexAgs, on one of their updates this week from Gabe. So we haven't seen him as much as we wanted to. But God dang it, he was exactly what that team needed tonight with Spiller, hobbling a bit, and Mond really struggling with the pressure that North Carolina was able to bring. Yeah. From the different blitz looks and everything else, and not really playing all that well. We'll talk about that because the Achane's really the story. He's the Orange Bowl MVP. 12 carries for 140 yards.
He played with really came in with 8 minutes to go. Right?
Yeah,
I mean, wow.
He was really, really impressive, and what a cool ending to the season for him to be on that stage. First time really in front of the media, we got to hear from him, and he's up there with a headset on addressing his whole team on the field.
On the stage.
At the Orange Bowl. Yeah, the Orange Bowl in a victory, right? That's really, really cool. And all I could think of in that moment was, oh my God, Alabama and LSU nearly stole him from us. We had to hang on. And that was an intense recruitment that went way into the recruiting cycle, way up till near National Signing Day. And to be able to get that kid was huge. And I remember very specifically on National Signing Day, Jimbo just gushing about this kid and how grossly – Jimbo doesn't normally do this, but he talked about how grossly underrated that Achane actually was. And this is a 4-star kid, right? Yeah. He was a 3-star in some recruiting services, but picked up his 4-star by the end of his senior season. But even Jimbo was like, if there's a 5-star kid, this is it. Yeah. And he knew how special he was. Alabama, LSU knew how special he was, and they went after him hard. And so, just to see that explode onto the scene tonight was awesome. And I don't know where the Aggies are without him, to be honest.
I don't either. And let's go a little bit further with that, because you're talking about a head-to-head, down-to-the-wire battles with Alabama for Achane, Anaya Smith, and Bobby Brown. Marvin Leal a little bit.
I think it feels like Leal was kind of ours.
For sure, those three really down to the wire, big gets that Alabama wanted, and those were the three. Well, Anias and a chain, and then Bobby Brown, always kind of quiet by the nature of the position he plays,
Right.
but he really affected that fourth down stop at the end of the game.
Oh man,
he was all over the place.
Yeah, and let's pivot a little bit. We'll come back to the rest of the offense later, but let's talk about what we saw out of the defense. And they gave us some really big plays in this game in the first half. And I think they went into the half, they'd given up 17 points, right, by halftime. And is that right? I'm trying to remember. Or was it 17-13?
13.
Okay. So then they did give up a little bit more than I thought. But again, you could see as the game went on, the same thing that's happened all season played itself out. Eventually, the defensive line and the pressure took over, and they were able to get some really big time hits on the quarterback, sacks on the quarterback in crunch time. And then that fourth down stop was really the third down play was pretty incredible.
Yeah.
And then the fourth down play when they went for it to get that stop, I mean, that was it, And then, they didn't play a great game.
No.
They were without, again, some really key guys in the secondary. Had a lot of young.
Only North Carolina was out. Yeah.
No. We actually had some guys out as well. And, Miles Jones was out.
Hansford was out.
And you saw a bunch of young guys on the field. Antonio Johnson Jr. I thought he actually covered really well. He gave up a long touchdown pass.
Mm-hmm.
But if you remember on that play, he actually knocked that ball loose from the receiver.
And the
receiver recovered. It certainly looked like that ball came out when he hit the ground. He trapped it, but whatever. It was an incredible play by the receiver to recover from that.
Yeah.
It was good coverage. And, there were some breakdowns in coverage. I think Eric Young had a really bad one on the running back coming out of the backfield and got caught up in traffic and wide open. So it happened. But, man, look, they made some plays. They made the plays they needed to make, especially at the end. Jimbo Fisher on with Scott Van Pelt. We're watching this on TV, and he looks really happy.
Yeah, I bet he is.
And he ought to be happy.
Yeah.
I mean, just think about this season, right? I mean, unbelievable. If we're going to finish, we're probably going to finish number 3 in the country. I think we're going to end up number 3. We'll see.
I don't think we jump Clemson, but we will see. I do think we'll jump Notre Dame. But I think this won't be a convincing enough victory here. I think people will suddenly actually make sense and say the game was closer than the final score appeared.
Right.
Which is kind of true.
Yeah. It's
just been true a lot, and they seem to pick and choose when
exactly
they want to call that out, but whatever.
Yeah. I mean, look, this was one of the better bowl games of the bowl season, period.
Yeah.
I thought Sam Howell was phenomenal. I thought he got out of the pocket a million times tonight, avoided some sacks early, and made huge plays outside the pocket.
Yeah.
The kid really has a great arm. And remember, he was without a lot of his biggest weapons, and he made do with what was there. He did his job, and UNC ran the ball in the first half.
Yeah.
Quite a bit.
Yeah.
And they kind of kept us from running the ball effectively. I
have to wonder how much of that was due to Spiller just not being 100%, but, whatever.
Yeah.
I think that was really the frustrating part of not seeing the chain was not that, like, that guy's so good, he's got to play. It's that Spiller was clearly not 100% effective, really from the start.
Yeah.
And so that was why I think everyone was so puzzled by the fact that we couldn't even mix him in at all really in the first half.
Yeah.
So,
yeah,
whatever.
We haven't even talked about Anaya Smith, who had some monster plays in this game.
Yeah.
They don't win this game without him.
No.
Because not only was he catching the ball, but when's the last time you saw the first defender get him to the ground? I'm sorry, the first defender get a hand on him.
Yeah.
He is unbelievable in the open field. He is just such a smart football player, understands angles. He had a tremendous catch and run down the sideline in which he cut back and dang near scored, set up a 1st and goal. Had some really nice runs a couple of times out of the backfield, which he's done all season when called upon. He's just a fantastic football player. The guy who had a really quiet night was 85.
Yes. Did he finish with only one catch?
If he had one, I missed it.
Very early on the first possession, he had like a 4-yard catch.
That's right.
Yeah.
I think he got cut down right after catching it, pretty quick. No, you're right. Yeah, he had a very quiet night, but that was North Carolina's game plan. They were determined. I mean, it looked like there was 2 guys on him every time Mon threw it his way in tight coverage. So you could tell they really wanted to key on that and take him away from us. What did you think about Kellen and how Kellen played tonight?
I think, it was looking like that, the bad Kellen, the road Kellen a little bit. He just seemed kind of unsettled a lot early.
He's pulling the trigger very quickly.
Very quickly, and not decisive enough, like we've talked about all season, really his entire career. Certainly in the run game, scrambling, very frustrating, but also had some, really, really great drives.
He did.
At key times to not let the game get away from you.
Yeah.
Which is kind of what he's done all year. As frustrating as he's been, there have been some points in the game where it could have got away from us. And the reason that we're able to kind of keep grinding and stay in it has really been because of Kellen.
Yeah.
So, and he did that again tonight, and eventually North Carolina wore down. So
there's a couple things he did in this game that you're right, because early on I was pretty frustrated because you could see, right away whether he's on or he's off. And early on it looked like, we're pulling the trigger a little too quick. We're forcing some throws into where they shouldn't be, and they're not really on target. And so you got really worried. But what he did do in this game, he didn't turn the ball over. He didn't throw a pick. And he ran several times pretty effectively. Okay. And this is on off schedule runs, right?
Yeah.
Like he was able to get out, pick up a couple first downs. He scored a touchdown on a keeper where that was a pass play, got outside the pocket, scored. And with all of the running, he didn't fumble. He didn't turn the ball over either. And so, that was huge. And he grounded out as well. I think he even knew he wasn't on. You know what I mean? Like he wasn't feeling it. And so he was figuring out other ways to keep his football team in the game. I'll tell you one of the coolest moments of the night. I think you were on the way over. I don't know if you saw this after the game, but him and Jimbo Fisher on the field.
I did.
For a good, minute and a half, in an embrace and just a conversation. And, you could just hear Jimbo multiple times, I love you. You could just tell that was a really special moment for a guy that, do we remember his first game? Do we remember what happened to the kid in his first game?
Yeah.
Really the end of the Sumlin era, the huge comeback from UCLA to start that season. And he struggled all year, and he had to go through that coaching change, and he had to win the battle again. And he did. And he's been our quarterback for 4 years. And, look, has he been perfect? No. He's taken a lot of criticism, but he was as big a warrior this season as anybody else on that football team. I can drink to that. To Kellen Mond.
Yeah, I think, we talked about this in our last show, kind of what do we expect to happen at the quarterback position next year. And I think we're going to miss that element of Kellen Mond for sure. We're really excited about Haynes King, obviously. Yeah. And I think, like I said, I think he has a higher ceiling, but God, Kellen Mond's ability to not panic.
Yeah.
And to really show up at key times in games this year. Gosh, that's a 4-year starter kind of thing.
Right.
So,
yeah, some of the issues I've had is that some of those things you just mentioned, the maturity, like you're just now seeing it. And that's a little odd to me, but okay, we got it. And I'm okay with that. That drive to the end of the half, where I think they got the first and goal with about 22 seconds left,
Mm-hmm.
and there was no panic whatsoever. It was like, hey, get up here. We're going to score. And then we got 3 timeouts in our pocket. So nobody rush. There's no reason to rush. Just get up there. Let's get set, and let's pound this ball in. And they did. Oh, that was a really pivotal moment in the game. You know, we've seen that a million times with this team. Jimbo knows how to manage that clock and score before the half very well. You know, I've seen some criticism of him at times when it didn't quite go perfectly. But let me tell you something. Watch college football watch any random college football game. You'll be hard pressed to find a better coach when it comes to managing the clock and his offense at the end of a half or at the end of a game. I think the guy is unbelievable in his ability to process what he needs to call on the field with what's going on in the clock.
Mm-hmm.
You know, yeah, there were some times this year we had to call a timeout because guys aren't getting onto the field fast enough or whatever. I think he's unbelievable. We do have our first live chat participant from Schlanger88. I'm probably just butchering it.
No,
Sorry,
that's
Graham.
correct.
Okay, got it. Since he just wants to mention that tonight the officiating was garbage.
Boy, it was garbage. And I think the biggest garbage moment was pretty critical towards the end of the game. The roughing the passer that Bobby Brown got after he was held by the tackle and then basically shoved on top of the quarterback by the guy that was just holding him. And he gets a flag for putting all of his body weight on the quarterback. To which I say, suck it up, Buttercup. Yeah.
It was BS. I'm glad you brought that up because I actually didn't get to see that play. I only saw the sort of the end result, the last split second, which was Bobby Brown laying on top of the quarterback. And then I saw the call. There was some really strange stuff with sideline interference. There was something going on with Leon O'Neal earlier in the game. I totally missed this. With some taunting or celebrating.
Yeah. Now, look, because this was a hot topic on Twitter, everyone's saying he did nothing. And frankly, it is completely within Leon O'Neal's character to do something worthy of a flag in that situation. Yes. He popped up. He was jawing. And now what we saw on television was definitely nothing. However, I think it's very likely that they just didn't show whatever cost him to get the penalty on TV. They cut off the replay early because he was jawing at the sideline as soon as he got up, and it would not shock me at all if it went beyond just a simple fist bump or a fist pump or whatever. So, come on, Leon. To his credit, I think had a really great game after that. But another critical penalty that I think they only ended up getting a field goal anyway out of that possession. I'm not sure.
Well,
but still,
my biggest issue with the officiating tonight was for A&M to have the holding penalties called on them that they did. Okay, I don't have a problem with them calling those. I really don't. Okay, but what I saw from UNC, what I saw was an offensive line that was holding on for dear life.
Yeah, because they were getting whipped.
They were getting beat. And, I mean, even when they double-teamed Leal or Brown, they were fighting through it, and dudes were just flat out grabbing hold.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, if you're gonna do that to us, you could have thrown 7 or 8 of those on UNC. So I did have a problem with that. Graham also brings up Jimbo can run. Evidently, he pulled a hamstring.
In
the post game.
I said on Twitter, Jimbo saw what happened to Coach Orgeron with Gatorade bath, and now he just has a complex about the Gatorade bath because he was trying to avoid that at all costs. At the cost of his hamstring, maybe. I think he was joking about that. But yeah, he ran away from several attempted Gatorade baths.
Yes, he did. I think they got him. They got half of a shoulder on the second one, but maybe he just wanted to look good for his media appearances later on tonight. But that was a pretty funny scene. I mean, the game was over, but he didn't want to get wet.
No,
whatever. That's cool. Maybe he thought that cooler was full of a bunch of oranges.
I really think that's a missed opportunity, honestly. I wanted to see him get pelted with oranges. Whatever.
Can you imagine? Dude, that would suck. Those are heavy.
It's not
like a bucket of confetti or...
It's coming from like 1.5 feet above your head.
Okay.
It'd be fine.
All right. So since we still haven't done the Casey kick a field goal challenge. Maybe a new challenge is dunking you with a Gatorade cooler full of oranges, and we'll see how that goes. See how it feels. You can rate it.
I'm fine with. If I just won the Orange Bowl, I would have no problem with it.
Okay, no, fair enough. Hey, one more. So look, another comment. Yes, the defense holding UNC to 2 field goals on their first 2 scoring drives. That was huge. Because if you give up touchdowns there, that would have been pretty demoralizing. And those were, I think they were 1st and goal both times.
Yes.
So they were down there close. To force them into, and made some big plays doing it. It wasn't just, stop them for 1 or 2 yards. There were some big losses down, tackles in the backfield. So, hey, those guys, like we said, far from perfect, but made some big plays in this game too to pull out the victory. So, look, we covered the offense, we covered the defense. Seth Small hit his field goals tonight, did his job. Man, can we just step back for a minute and talk or just take in the glory of this season altogether? We covered a little bit at the beginning, but we just wrapped up an 8-game winning streak, 9-1 overall, a victory on a New Year's Six bowl game, the Orange Bowl, a place we haven't been since 1944. We're going to have a top 5 finish, borderline top 5 recruiting class. Let's just marinate in the fact that this football team far exceeded expectations and is a really special football team, period.
Very special, way exceeded expectations. We talked about it, earlier this week, ahead of schedule.
Yes.
In the Jimbo era. And yes, obviously recruiting. OU fans, for some reason, OU fans are incredibly salty about A&M this season. But
took all their glory this year, and they've had a rough go this year.
They have, and early, and they're getting whipped by Jimbo in recruiting as well. And the fans can talk as much noise as they want. The media can talk as much noise as they want, but
it doesn't change what happened.
It doesn't change what happened, and you can tell these high school kids can see it.
Yes.
And the reason they're buying Jimbo's garbage is because it's right in front of their face.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The proof is now in the pudding.
Yeah.
Right. And this is what happens when you start winning football games and you start dominating the line of scrimmage and you start doing, the things that he's doing in the program. To the victor go the spoils. And you know what? The fact remains, I would say Jimbo's still out recruiting his results.
Out resulting his recruiting.
No, I think he's out recruiting his results up to this point. I think his recruiting was, it is what he's always done.
No, okay. I got you.
But now he's able to recruit on top of a season like this. And, oh my God, warning to everybody else out there, warning to whatever's going on in Austin. We might cover that after a few more drinks.
I think we got a whole off season for that. Okay. But whatever.
Well,
we'll just see what we get to.
Sorry, Sark. I didn't mean to. Anyway.
Man.
Shots fired.
Shots fired.
Another pun. Okay.
Okay.
So, yeah, I just don't. I don't want to gloss over what this senior class did, what this football team, just the way that they behaved, the culture that they created, and they did. Those guys created this, and then they just kept building momentum and got better as a football team and believed in each other more and more. And I don't want to get sappy and sentimental about it, but this doesn't happen all that often. Like, as a sports fan, you don't get to cheer for a team like this all that often and get to see something like this play out. So, I just think Aggies out there's a lot of you actually watching. Thanks for watching. You really ought to enjoy this. I said it last night on our show that this was going to be one of my favorite football teams ever at A&M. We've had teams that won some championships. We've had teams that have played in some big bowl games. But this is, and it's not even so much about the winning. It's just about how they went about this season.
Yeah. And yeah, we talked about that in our last show that we hope this team gets the credit they deserve if A&M goes on, to win a title or
Yeah.
two under Jimbo, that the foundation is laid here with this team
Yeah.
and the culture they created.
Yep. The players that have come in the last year and the ones that are coming in, I think those guys are going to win a championship, but they are going to do it on the foundation from this group. And I'm really excited to see which ones out of this senior class actually do come back, because I think there's going to be a few. I think you're going to see quite a few opt-ins.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't mean 8 or 9. I mean
No.
3 or 4.
3 or 4, probably 1, hopefully maybe 2 on the offensive line. And yeah, I think
maybe an Aaron Hansford.
Yeah. Well, and we've got probably a few weeks to unpack that, but Hansford, I think, is a guy that actually really can improve his draft status because there's just not that much film on him as a linebacker.
Exactly.
So I think I think it's very likely you get a guy like that back, 1 or 2 offensive linemen. I think, like you said, this is a brotherhood was the word you used. And you do really see it more than
they know what they are.
Service.
They know what they are.
Yeah.
They know what they created. And that's why you didn't see anybody opt out. Right. And look, we talked about, well, why would you opt out? There's not a lot of guys that are high on NFL draft boards, but you know what? We've seen it before. Guys that were going to get drafted late in the NFL still opted out.
Yeah.
We had what went on back in the offseason, back in August with guys leaving. But the guys who were here and built this, they weren't going to leave it.
No.
And we should just really, really appreciate that. You've seen what the impact has been on other football teams in these bowl games. To be honest, I mean, after seeing what we saw this week, I was really just down on the whole bowl season. I was not enjoying it because I don't like to see teams that aren't at full strength. I like to see competition at its highest level. And I felt like I wasn't getting that in a lot of these games. And, there's a lot of talk about UNC missing guys and everything else. I get it. But I was just really proud that we weren't and that we got to see this one more time. And now look, oh God, is it really 8 months? 8.5 months until we have college football again. It's coming. Hopefully. Yeah. I don't know. Let's play a spring season. Why not? The Big Ten was willing to do that, back-to-back seasons. So I cannot wait. I can't wait to see how this recruiting class finishes out. They added 2 more guys today, 2 more 4-stars, another massive defensive lineman, and a safety out of the state of Louisiana. And we're still waiting on probably 2 more with Tyrone Malone. I'm not saying that correctly. And LJ Johnson.
LJ Johnson, who, with what's going on in Austin, we'll see. We will see.
We will. Maybe he wants to go play for Sark. I don't know. We'll see. But it doesn't matter. It doesn't. That's what we should know. It actually, doesn't matter. Yes. You got to have the horses to do this, but Jimbo got his horses, man.
Yeah.
This recruiting class is phenomenal. So, the trajectory of the program is headed in the right direction. That wasn't the only football game today. We did have a couple of SEC teams playing today.
SEC teams with losing records.
Yeah, that's right.
Because remember, A&M only beat 1 team with a winning record.
Yeah.
Because none of these analysts know how math works.
Right.
But anyway, 2 SEC teams.
So sub-500 teams.
Sub-500 teams.
Yes. What did they do today?
They beat ranked teams.
Ranked teams.
Those 2 teams became the 3rd SEC team, actually, with a sub-500 record to beat a ranked team.
Yes. So, Ole Miss beating Indiana.
And then number 11, Indiana.
Yeah.
Which,
hello.
Number 11 on the strength of a win against Penn State.
But by the rankings, this was the 2nd best team in the Big Ten.
Yes.
Who lost to Ole Miss. who
previously 3-5 Ole Miss. Now,
Yeah.
no. They wanted to get to 5-5, I think.
no, they were sub 500. They
So
were
now they're 4
I think they were 4-6. No, because they didn't play us. So they were 4-5.
Okay.
Yeah, 4-5. Anyway, you can tell.
Already drinking.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Now, somebody chiming in. This looks like Mrs. Meltdown has found the live chat feature. It says,
no.
You guys took longer than I thought to mention how long until you get more Aggie football. That's right. You get an 8-month reprieve, and then it'll be back, okay, in all its glory.
She knows it's not a reprieve. That's my wife, by the way, on the live chat, because
It's not my life.
we're gonna keep doing this show in the off season.
We have some plans.
She should know by now that the off season is not any better than the actual football season in terms of insufferable Aggie football talk in her ear.
Yeah.
So we'll hopefully try and keep doing the show, maybe weekly. We'll see.
Right.
To maybe give them a reprieve.
It actually does get worse, right? Because the games actually give you something new to talk about.
Yeah.
Right? Because now for 8 months, we just have this body of work to talk about and a little bit of recruiting. So, woe to the, yes, there is no reprieve. And
Nick Foreman's watching.
Hey, Nick.
Hey,
welcome
Nick.
to the show, man. Let's cheers to Nick Foreman.
Cheers to Nick Foreman.
Nice to have you.
Okay.
Maybe next year you can join us. You'll have to come over, have a drink with us, join the Meltdown show. We didn't suck today.
No.
Did we? I mean, we didn't suck. We didn't suck at all. We were good. We won.
We're good. We won.
We beat the number 13 team in the country, right? So
yes.
By double digits.
Double digits for the 8th time in a row.
8th time in a row. We did pretty good.
Yeah.
But so we were talking SEC. The SEC's down, man.
Who
SEC's
else?
down.
I can't even remember now who played and beat another ranked team today. Oh, it was Kentucky.
Kentucky
beating NC State.
Yes. Another ranked team.
And then earlier this week, somebody beat Tulsa. Who was it that beat Tulsa? Another ranked team.
I can't remember, but I think that's 6 ranked teams that have been defeated by SEC teams this week. That's now 6 ranked teams. So if that is a down year for the SEC, I can't wait to see what it looks like in the upswing. So and the one this happens every year.
Every year. And they're going to hang their hat on half of Florida losing to the Big 12 champion. And I know OU is a good football team.
OU is good.
They
are good.
They're good. But,
that's what we're going to hang our hat on.
You can't take your best team and beat like the 3rd best SEC team and say the SEC is obviously horrible.
Right. Yeah. When they're missing 25 players. 25 scholarship players. So I loved it earlier this week. That's when the narrative got ramped up, and then yesterday and today happened, and those people do look like idiots. They don't realize it yet, but they do look like idiots because this happens every year. Because here's what happens in the SEC. All right, so many SEC teams make bowl games, and inevitably, what's happened for really the last 3 to 4 years is because there's so many of them. And so many of them get into these high-profile bowl games.
Yes.
They end up playing teams ranked higher than them.
Yeah, all the middling teams get overslotted.
Yes.
Basically, because of the strength above them.
And they still win.
Yes.
And that's what people they don't seem to, they run with these narratives. But then when you actually go back and look at it, year by year by year, it's the same pattern. I think one time in the last 5 years did the SEC actually, I think they had like a 500 record in bowl games. And every one of them that they lost, again, was one of those mismatches from a slotting perspective. And what we mean by that is you take the 5th or 6th best team in the SEC and they end up playing like number 2 out of the Big Ten or the ACC. Okay, so there's always a big disparity there. And that just makes it somewhat fair, as it turns out.
Yeah.
So, I didn't say a whole lot about that today as it was happening because I was really worried about sticking my,
Yes, tonight.
I was worried about tonight's game because I was worried about a close game, and
Yeah.
I didn't want to have to eat that. But
Yeah.
guess what? I don't have to eat it, and I know what I'm doing this week.
Yeah.
I'm going back through my mentions. I'm
That's
going
right.
back through some tweets, and we're coming after you because you look like idiots.
And we've got a whole off season to do these shows, and I think we'll probably spend an entire show just on why the entire narrative around the SEC being down is always stupid.
Yes.
So follow, subscribe, all that stuff, so you don't miss that. But I even put together a flow chart somewhere.
The flow chart is great.
The flow chart, just to let you know, if the SEC is down.
How you know if the SEC is down.
How do you know if the SEC is down? And it's very simple. Is A&M good this year? And if the answer is yes, the SEC is down. And if the answer is no, then nobody even asks the question.
That's right. It doesn't even get asked.
It doesn't even get asked.
It's not relevant. So, oh man, screw you guys. Are you in the media? Screw you. Oh, man. You know, it was unbelievable.
Sorry,
to watch.
Chevy.
Oh dear. Let's just make sure that make sure that we don't one time that thing. Okay, we pace ourselves. All right, a little bit.
Okay,
sip on that. Okay,
sure.
Let's not have a repeat of a couple of weeks ago.
No, because I can only do that once a year.
He actually had to watch the video to remember what happened the night before on the post game show. But look, we are here for it. I'm not saying the end result's not going to be the same. I'm just saying the method. Let's alter the method a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay. Because otherwise, I'm going to lose my co-host here in about an hour.
We are getting a lot of comments.
We really are. It's a family affair.
Nick has watched before. I know Brendan. I just didn't know he was watching live.
Yeah. It's recommended that you actually bring a sleeping bag to the post-game show, so when you pass out, you've got a place to land.
Yeah, she told me that on my way out the door, but
that's not going to happen.
But
he's not staying here.
I brought cash for the Uber, and by the Uber I mean your 18-year-old daughter that is a responsible driver. Let's see. Are you watching Point Break or Fast and Furious? Shut up, Brendan. Yeah, Mississippi State beat Tulsa.
Yes.
Yeah.
Previously
3-7.
3 wins, right? A Mississippi State team that, oh my good Lord, had a bunch of guys quit on them, kicked a few guys off the team, including their best player.
Mid-season.
Yes.
Went through, 5 quarterback changes per game. And beat Tulsa, who their coach was crying in the media a few weeks ago about how this linebacker of theirs isn't getting enough credit. And look at his production and all this stuff. And I'm like, yeah, he's a pretty good linebacker.
Yeah.
Playing against garbage competition. Yeah, he's flying all over the place against dudes that just don't match up physically at all.
Yeah.
Try to do that every week against teams that, yes.
I think my math was off earlier. Because I said 6 teams. I forgot about Georgia beating Cincy.
Yeah, okay.
But that wasn't a slotting. I'm just saying another ranked team that got taken down by the SEC. I actually think we might be up to 7. I bet somebody on our chat could actually do that math for us so that we don't have to think about it too much. So I'm sure they'll come up with it here in a second.
Yeah.
And we'd love to know what you guys want to hear about. I did get a question through Twitter, and so we'll pivot a little bit. This is more about next year. And the question was, what do we need from the quarterback position to hang with the elite teams like Ohio State and Clemson and Alabama? And I mean, do you want me to tell you the simple answer? We just need a badass. We need a badass, right? Like we need a 5-star Trevor Lawrence or a Justin Fields kind of character. Mm-hmm. That's what you want.
Yeah.
Right? I actually don't know if you need that.
Well, I think you do, because we have seen what happens when you rack up multiple top 5, top 3 classes at some point over in Georgia, and you have just a guy at quarterback.
Yes.
And it just doesn't work. Because you're competing against an Alabama or a Clemson or an Ohio State who has also racked up multiple top 5, top 3 recruiting classes.
Yeah.
And have dynamic playmakers at quarterback. Save maybe Well, Alabama has
They have had.
had Mac Jones. You know, is just sitting back there picking people apart.
I'm gonna
Yeah,
try
you
this.
need to try this.
But
It
Mac
is
Jones
quite
has
good.
is kind of
Yeah.
playing a different ball game than
Yeah,
anybody
'cause
else.
because if you've got four NFL wide receivers, well, that's a little bit different story. I don't think even well, okay, not just NFL wide receivers, but like probably future stars.
Yes.
Because Trevor Lawrence doesn't have that. Justin Fields doesn't have that. So yeah, it's not enough to be just really good and
Have a
plotting.
mediocre quarterback.
Yeah,
You need A&M needs a star at quarterback.
yeah. It doesn't have to be Johnny Football,
Right?
but you can't be Jake Fromm. And
Singe the nostrils.
Yeah.
This one does.
I don't think it can't be Kellen Mond either.
Right. I think that's right. So what
You
do you
know?
need? I think you absolutely have to have a guy that can throw the football downfield and is willing to throw the football downfield.
Mm-hmm.
And look, I did see some times tonight on some replays where Kellen had a guy breaking open deep. The safety was up,
Mm-hmm.
and a guy is getting past his defender, and that's when you throw the football, and he didn't do it. And he hasn't really done that all season because Kellen doesn't throw the ball unless a guy's like
Unless he sees him
open. But the reality is, you hear people say it all the time: throwing a guy open. What does that mean? That means you're throwing the football as a guy has leverage on a defender and
Mhm.
is about to break free, and you're putting the football in a place that you know he can go get it
Yeah.
and be open by the time the ball gets there. And Kellen doesn't. It's not his strength. And so, what do we need? I do think we need that.
We've got to have that. Yeah. And to your point, even Stephen McGee pointed out in the Tennessee film study, right? We had that nice big long pass play to Anias kind of down the sideline late against Tennessee. And everyone's like, oh, we finally threw the ball downfield. And Stephen McGee pointed out, if you watch that play, Anias comes off the line, he's attacking the safety, he kind of chops his feet, and the safety's standing there flat-footed.
Yes.
And Anias is still a solid 10 feet away, and he is open at that point.
Yes.
He has already beat the defender at that point because he is Anias Smith, and that guy is standing still, and you have to let the ball go then. And you see in the NFL, that's when they let the ball go, and McGee points out, in the NFL, that ball is intercepted.
The one he threw.
Right. Because he waits until Anias passes the safety. He's like, okay, he's won, and he lets the ball go, and the safety is just barely late to get there.
Yeah.
And McGee says, no, you've got to let that ball go the moment Anias chops his feet, because that is the moment he wins the route.
Yep.
He's you have to let it go.
The defender.
Yeah. So,
yeah,
that's not in Kellen's nature. I think he's going to get a shot in the NFL, and they're going to have to beat that into him, I think, if he really wants to have a career there, because he certainly has all the arm talent he needs.
He does. And I do think the guy that appears to be the heir apparent is a guy who's willing to throw the football down the field. And it does appear to be in his DNA. And a quick decision maker in very limited action. We haven't seen a lot, but I feel I need a little drop of that in there. The people are asking what this is that we're drinking. Just can you recap?
Sorry. That is Abalur, a Speyside single malt. And it is the Abunad. I've always said Abunda, but because I don't know. Anyway, it's very good.
Speyside single malt.
Yeah.
Not to be confused. Nope. Don't make a really bad joke. Don't do it. It was so bad.
So bad.
It was so bad.
Oh my gosh. Were you about to make a Bob Barker joke?
No, it was much worse than that.
Oh, good.
Yeah. So anyway,
Brian's been drinking the old reliable Lagavulin.
Lagavulin 16 Distillers Edition.
Yes.
So very smooth. This is pretty slick right here.
Yeah, it was good.
Double matured. So sherry cask, I think.
Yeah, it's the normal old Lagavulin 16,
Excellent.
Just with a little bit of sherry cask finish added to it, and it was quite good.
It's spectacular. I was really happy with that. I do think Haynes King is that guy. And the other thing you're going to get out of Haynes King, we've talked about it before, but since you guys are watching, a better runner. The kid is a good runner. He's fast. He's just as fast as Kellen. Much more decisive in the open field, taking what the defense gives him. Just go back. You want to know what Haynes King is? Just go back and watch his high school highlights. The guy was, made it to multiple championship games, won at least 2. I don't think he won the one his senior year because they lost a lot of talent, but still got deep in the playoffs.
Yeah.
The kid's a winner, son of a coach, wants to be coached really hard, which is one of the reasons he came to A&M was to learn from Jimbo Fisher. And are we going to have some bumps along the way with him? For sure. He's playing in the SEC and those defenses, and he's not going to be perfect. But you talked about upside earlier. I always felt like Kellen was bumping up against his ceiling and sometimes dipped below and then got right back up there and then dipped below. Haynes King's ceiling is higher. How quickly does he get there is going to be the answer to this team's success next year.
It is, but I hope that his more aggressiveness and decisiveness in the run game and off-schedule run game helps give him time to come along everywhere else, because I think there was a point in the night that perfectly illustrated it. It was a big third down. Kellen, it opens up on the right side. He leaves the pocket because he's flushed out, and you're screaming, just go, go, go. And he starts to go, but he goes too late, and he gets run down from behind by, was that the Tony Grimes kid?
Yeah.
That ran him down. And the announcers were, beside themselves about the great play that Grimes did. And it was a great play.
Yeah.
He's very fast, ran him down from the complete other side of the field from behind. But Kellen had to go sooner and had to go. It was like, he was like, should I go? Should I go? And then he finally decides to take off, and he gets the shoestring tackle.
Yeah.
Whereas if he just sees the opening, says it's third down, I just got to move the chains. Like, I don't need to make a play downfield. I just have to move the chains. Just go.
Yes.
He gets it.
Yeah. When he's decisive, he's very effective. Mm-hmm. Somebody said, hey, Kellen's fast when he decides to run. Yes, Kellen is fast. What you may not know about Haynes King is a legit 4.5 in the 40 guy. He is very fast.
Yeah.
You think he's a big, tall, lanky, white guy.
He is tall and lanky.
He is tall and lanky.
And white.
He's fast.
Yeah, he is fast.
So,
I rewatched, actually, his series against Alabama just a couple of days ago. And he had a couple of really nice runs out of the pocket that just – it broke down, it wasn't there, and he took off, and he was gone. Like, you just have to go once you decide to go.
Use your speed and straight line, pick that angle, and go. And you know what? He does it in the zone read and the option game as well. We've talked about it several times, but for those of you watching, the guy makes the defense react to him. Mm-hmm. He attacks the edge. He's not jogging or trotting out there and trying to read it. No, he attacks it. He makes you make a decision, and then he's going to react to that decision that you make. He's going to be very effective in that game. And if Jimbo's going to call it, we need somebody who's very effective in it. And if you can make that a true weapon in this offense, that opens up a lot of things.
It's a completely different offense.
You're moving the chains. You're going to be looking at a lot more 2nd and 2s and 3rd and 1s. Much more manageable, and not then having to grind out some of these third down conversions like you have, where you are probably going to see some struggles next year. You're going to see some turnovers, right? As he learns, and then you may not be as efficient in the red zone. You actually may not be, because once the field compresses and the defense has less space to cover, it's a little easier on them, and maybe they can defend him breaking free out of the pocket a little bit more. So, it's going to be interesting. What do you think this backfield looks like going into next year, other than, barring injury, spectacular? right?
Yeah, it's going to be a better version of what we've seen all year. I think we're going to get a lot more carries for Chain.
Yes.
Hopefully, after what we saw tonight. I mean, I don't understand how that guy can be as good as he is. We watched it say, what did he average? Like 15 yards a carry in high school or something?
It was something obscene. And the number of touchdowns was ungodly.
But that average was crazy. But when you watch his highlight reel, you're like, yeah, he's breaking off an 80, 90-yard run every week.
Right.
And so, so best case scenario, you can average like maybe 6 or something in the SEC. And he's... At one point in his limited touches, he's been averaging like 10, 11 yards per carry. I don't know what he averaged tonight, but he had the big run.
Yeah, so listen to this. This is unbelievable. Oh, this is his senior year at Fort Bend Marshall High School in Missouri City, Texas. 2,266 yards. He averaged over 11 yards a carry, 140 yards per game. That is ridiculous. In his career, 4,823 rushing yards. He averaged right at 12 yards a carry, over 100 a game, and 88 rushing touchdowns, 115 touchdowns total. The guy was a scoring machine. And yeah, you what was interesting is how slender of a guy he was in high school. And I think, Jimbo talked about him being a running back. And I think a lot of people thought he was going to be kind of this slot guy.
Like Anais.
Yeah, the role that Anais played his freshman year.
Yeah.
Kind of a jack of all trades. You put him somewhere, you create these mismatches. And then you saw him in that first game where he got some carries, and he looked like he'd added 20 pounds.
Yeah.
He had a midsection.
Yeah.
Right? Like thick. Not big, but thicker.
But yeah, substantial enough to withstand the SEC.
And then, holy cow, the guy at that stature, pushing dudes, fighting through tackles, being a physical runner.
At one point in the game tonight, we gave him the ball inside the 5, and we had to bring what's his name in at fullback. It wasn't Rennick. It was anyway. We tried to run up the middle, and McCollum got blown up, and it was stuffed. And one of our Twitter followers was like, why are you running it inside when this guy is such a speed burner? Like, because he's awesome in between the tackles.
He is.
It's ridiculous.
And I never thought we'd see that.
No.
I didn't see that coming. He is good in tight quarters. He seems to find creases that just aren't there. And Anais is unbelievable in that regard, too. He's way underrated in that part of his game. He seems to pick up 5 or 6 when there's 2 or 3. Anyway, I mean, the original question was, what does his backfield look like? It just looks badass.
Yeah.
That's what it looks like. I go back to the Tennessee game. We wanted a chain to come in late. Well, they pulled Anais out, put him back there, and he just looked awesome.
Yeah.
And one run in particular where that guy can make cuts in traffic without losing speed, unlike anybody I've seen in a long time in an A&M uniform. He makes some really unbelievable moves and can get yardage that just shouldn't happen.
But I think a chain is better in that respect, honestly.
Yeah,
I really
I think
do,
they're different in the way they go about it. I do think you're right. A chain is better. He's just got more natural talent. But I'm just so damn impressed with what Anais does when the ball is in his hands, because he's just jack of all trades and he's good at all of it. So,
yes, Nick, we do get Baylor Cup back. Baylor Cup.
Great White Buffalo.
Man, Great White Buffalo. I almost feel bad for the guy. He cannot be as good as our expectations for him at this point, right?
Right. I mean, we used to 2 season-ending injuries. We were all just, we can't wait for the Baylor Cup show.
Yeah.
Like, we want to see it so bad because, he was a physical specimen, but damn it, he can't possibly be as good as we all want him to be, right? And the other thing with we're recruiting some tight end talent, okay? So I want him out there, and I want him to be the Baylor Cup we all want him to be. But if he's not, it's going to be all right.
Yeah,
because we got some hardcore talent up and coming. So Yeah, we'll see. I do hope LJ Johnson is in maroon and white come next fall because I don't know if we talked about it on this show, but that dude is freaking Leland McElroy.
Yeah, we have brought it up actually. He does look like Leland McElroy.
It's unbelievable. It's the ghost of Leland, and I haven't seen that in a long time. Braun and John Texags described him as a one cut back, and yeah, that's what he is. He's get the ball, get in the edge. It's one cut and gone. Like he's a special dude. And I'd love to see that style of runner in the stable and getting a couple carries a game and just seeing what he can do late. The backfield is going to be great. The real question on this team from an offensive perspective is what does wide receiver look like? And I actually saw some guys making some big plays tonight, and that was encouraging. Chase Lane had a couple of really nice catches.
Yes.
Really tough catches at critical times and drives. Hez Jones had a phenomenal catch over the middle. I think that set up the first and goal. Though that was great to see. I do think this wide receiver core looks different with a different quarterback. I just do.
Yeah.
And I think folks are going to be surprised at how good that there's talent that will emerge out of this wide receiver core. Jamon Demas has all the talent in the world. He will play next year. How much, depends on him. And he is going to stick it out. All accounts, the people in his camp are like, no, dude's an Aggie.
Yeah.
And, we should all be encouraged by that. Cam Buckley. As Cam Buckley, he was actually suited out tonight, evidently.
Until he wasn't. I had heard that.
Yeah.
And then
did they show him on the sidelines?
Yeah, late.
Okay.
He was the one of the first guys trying to Gatorade bath Jimbo, and he was in street clothes.
Okay.
He was in street clothes in the fourth quarter for sure.
He was out running in warm-ups in the game, running routes on the field before the game started was the report. So I guess he decided not to, or for whatever reason, why run him out there? But I'm excited. Hopefully he comes back and he's a part of this thing next year. I'm missing somebody. Somebody else got hurt.
Chapman,
obviously. I think there's even one more. But
not
talent.
an injury, but was it Musa? No.
Well, Devin Price got hurt about a week ago. I think in practice. Moose Muhammad did see some action in special teams, even got into the game a couple times at wideout. Look, there's talent. There's talent, and if UNC can lose their three biggest offensive weapons and some dudes can come off the bench and do what they did tonight, we have guys that can do that. We have 4-star athletes in that stable that can come in and do that, that can get open deep and get behind a defense. So I think the wide receiver core will be better next year. The offensive line really dependent upon getting some guys back, some seniors, at least one or two.
Yeah.
Layden Robinson is a freaking beast. Just Bryce Foster, the kind of guy that can come in and start in the SEC from day one. Physically, yes. Mentally, can he pick everything up fast enough? I don't know. That guy's a freaking monster. His nickname is the Mountain. Okay, this dude does not look like a high school kid at all.
No, and actually, when he committed, I showed Mrs. Meltdown some pictures, and her first comment was, "That poor mom bought a lot of milk."
Yeah. Yes, they invested heavily in milk and then protein powder as well, like post workout protein powder or live cattle. I don't know, right?
Yeah.
They had to harvest some animals.
He's huge, and he plays with the proper amount of hate for an offensive lineman.
Yes,
it's just nasty. And then came in at defensive tackle.
Yeah, blew up a couple plays.
He just blew up a couple of plays in the playoffs last week. So, yeah, we'll see. I mean, so you got Foster, Kenyon Green, Layden Robinson for sure. and hopefully
Hopefully a Matthews
a Matthews. And
at center.
yeah, although, gosh, when McCollum went down, they put Kenyon Green at
They
center.
slid him over.
We don't have
I didn't see who replaced Kenyon, so I'd like to go back and watch that later just to see what that looked like. It was only for a couple plays, right?
Yeah, well, they moved. Oh, God. Who was the guard on the other side? They moved the right guard to left guard and then brought Layden Robinson in at right guard.
Okay.
So I don't know what was going on there, but a little disconcerting that you don't have a guy that you trust to come in and play center in that position.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll see.
Yeah. Well.
But hopefully, like we said, 1, maybe 2 seniors come back, and you've got the makings of reloading on the offensive line, like every other elite team does.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. And look, looking ahead to next season, it's going to be pretty wild. Auburn's going through a transition, a pretty big one, and they've kind of fallen off the map a little bit, talent-wise, not necessarily keeping up with the elite programs in the SEC. And look, they're going to be learning a whole new system.
Mm-hmm.
Bo Nix has looked terrible. Who knows what that looks like? We don't know. We don't know. LSU is going to be a better football team than they were this year. They finished strong, just like we thought they would. Are they going to be what they were last year? No, I don't think they will be, because I don't think that kind of talent exists at the quarterback position. I don't think that kind of talent exists in that coaching staff.
No.
And they haven't. They stockpiled the talent last year's recruiting class, and they finished okay this year, but they lost a lot of head-to-head battles down the stretch. And as we've said a million times, what kind of coach is Ed Ogeron historically? He's like a 3 to 4 loss a year coach.
Yeah.
That's what he is. The anomaly was last year. Okay. So, that's what that program is probably going to be behind him. That doesn't mean they're somebody you shouldn't be afraid of, but they are somebody that I think we have passed. And I think that's really important to maintain that. Alabama's going to be Alabama. They're going to lose several guys this year to the NFL draft again, but they are what they are. They just signed probably the most dominant recruiting class in history this year. It's obscene, the talent that they brought in. Had to tell a lot of really good football players no right at National Signing Day. So, Alabama's going to be they're the 3-headed monster that we've got to contend with next year. And that is the goal, is to get on that level and to beat those guys when they come to Kyle Field next year. Hopefully in November. I'm hoping to see that game later in the season, where it should be every year. It should be late in the season, but we'll see. The team to me that is the biggest question mark is the one that we're watching right now on the TV, which is Ole Miss under Lane Kiffin. I secretly think a lot of Aggies were happy when that game didn't happen, because I think nobody wants to play a Lane Kiffin team late in the season when the expectations are low. Does that make sense? Right? Like
for Ole Miss.
Yes. Right? Like you should beat them. Yeah, you should.
Yeah.
That dude can flat out coach a football team.
Yeah.
And he's going to recruit, has recruited, closed out that class really well. They're going to be that high-powered offense that can beat you on any given week. And
I think they're always going to have kind of a questionable defense by SEC standards, but like you said, he's maybe not going to recruit great across the board, but he's going to find the 2 to 3 offensive players that are going to make it hum.
Yes.
Every year. And so
he's going to have a quarterback that can sling it.
Yeah.
He's going to have a system that rewards that, right?
Kind of going to be the new Texas Tech. I think for us a little bit, the thorn in the side, the team that scares you. I don't, I'm less worried about them with Jimbo than I am, early 2000s or whatnot with Fran and all of that. But
I think the thing that, I mean, Tech, yes, in the way that they attack you. The thing with Tech is they never had the talent on the defensive side of the football to make a difference. You can finish in the bottom third of recruiting on defense in the SEC and still put together a pretty talented defense.
Yeah,
that's just reality of being in this league. So, will they be good on defense? Probably not, because they're not tested every week in practice the way that you need to be tested in order to be a good defense in this league. But they'll probably be opportunistic. They'll probably be one of those teams that generates a bunch of turnovers, maybe gives up a ton of yards, right? And a lot of plays and time of possession in this league, but probably does something every game that gives their offense the opportunity to win. So, they're going to be dangerous. Arkansas, I don't know.
I don't know either.
I think Arkansas is what Arkansas was this year. And I don't – and look, they had a lot of promise early on. It kind of fell apart. They had some bad luck. I think this is going to keep happening. I think they are who they are, to be honest. So let's hope we just keep beating them. We do keep beating them. Even on weekends, it looks like we shouldn't. So
and those dudes are sick of it.
They hate us. They hate us
so
because
much.
they ain't us. Okay?
The anus.
The anus.
Yeah.
Those Mississippi teams are squirreling.
Great observation.
That sounds like something somebody from Mississippi would say.
Yeah.
That's squirreling.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Did Bryce Foster have the tweet about player injuries? I don't know what he's talking about. Let's just
I think he
ignore that
did.
one.
No, yeah. It was when you may have missed it. The North Carolina player clearly fell down to stop our offense and basically get a free timeout.
Oh.
And Foster had something to say about it. But yeah.
He's a live tweeter, man.
He is.
These
kids are active on Twitter.
They love the social.
They do.
They're all about it.
Yeah.
These days. Look, this recruiting class is very active. They're going after other dudes too. They're into this.
Yeah, he was tweeting LJ Johnson.
It reminds me of the 2015 class. Let's hope it doesn't turn out that way. Nobody will ever fully appreciate, a lot of you listening, the drama that went on in the 2015 recruiting cycle with Sumlin, Kevin, with Kyler Murray, Chris Boyd.
Oh God!
Good Lord, that was spectacular. And here's the thing you need to know, though: when you see a lot of drama in a recruiting class, that ain't gonna pan out. It doesn't pan out, and you start to see it, and you want to finish as high as possible, and you want to get all those recruits. But when they're acting like fools on social media, as a whole, it's going to fall apart when they get on campus. You could just tell. And that one certainly did. And it did, not only for us, but for Texas too.
Yeah.
It really did. There was just so much drama. It was hilarious. And I'm not saying this recruiting class has drama. Not at all. In fact, the opposite of drama. But they are very active on social recruiting other players.
Can't remember the guy's name now. The number 5, the defensive tackle. He's with Baltimore now. Why can't I remember his name?
I thought you were going to say Malik Jefferson at first.
Forget
which
that.
Was a whole nother.
But a similar
story.
God dang it, man!
Number 5 defensive tackle ended up going to. Was he at Texas?
No, for us.
For us. Oh,
yes, the bowling ball.
Yeah, the bowling ball. Oh shoot!
Why can't I remember his name?
Somebody it was like 6'1".
Yeah.
300 pounds. Oh my God, he plays for the Ravens.
Quick as a cat. He plays for the Ravens now, but
Dalen
Mack. And
knew I was going to get there.
Kind of caught up in all that drama.
Yes.
Sort of, yeah. But he's kind of the only one that was kind of caught up in all of that really did pan out. Ultimately under Jimbo, really.
Yes.
Like, he was like, okay, this
salvage
is my chance.
That dude's career.
Yes.
Because there was a lot of drama with him. He wasn't in good shape. He was going to be a casualty of that class as well.
Yeah.
And Jimbo, with a lot of tough love, managed to get that guy pointed in the right direction.
Get him into the league.
Yeah. And having a career in the NFL. So it ain't like it used to be, to borrow a Jimboism. And speaking of, I think it's time, Casey, to pay some homage to the man who's responsible for all of this beautiful football season. Oh my gosh! My head's getting too big. It's swelling.
Are we supposed to wear this like the kids wear them?
Just the flat bill. There you go.
No,
how's that look?
As well.
This is our tribute to Jimbo Fisher, the man, the legend.
This is the worst idea you've ever had.
The Aggie football coach, who has brought us a respectable Fighting Texas Aggie football team, and is going to bring us a natty in the next couple of years. I hate that term.
Okay, I do too.
I hate it. But cheers to Jimbo. Your hat looks great.
Shut up.
It looks really good. That flat bill.
You gave me the worst one too.
I really did. I did that on
maroon.
purpose. Well, actually, look at it. It looks better in the light than it does on camera. It looks red on camera.
Yeah,
but that's a legit deep maroon. Okay, it is. These look great. Both of these hats look good. Okay.
Yeah.
Maroon. Anyway, you don't have to wear it.
Okay.
You don't have to wear it. But that was our tribute.
All right.
Oh, no, I was not about to drop trow, Nick, as much as you've been begging for it on the chat all night.
Forget the chat. Just in real life for like a decade now.
Guys, what do you want to talk about? Yes, thank you. Dalen Mack, Nick, you were about a minute too late as we were really stretching for that one. Yeah, he almost bought it when he was at Maroon.
I was there with him. Yeah, actually,
they're great. It's a great hat. I love this thing. This is a great prop for the show.
It's a great prop for the show. It's not a great article of clothing, but
no. Okay,
whatever.
See. I think it looks pretty good.
But don't care. I got Jimbo.
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 Oh dear. We're on
to
the.
It's the last game of the
Jimbo
season.
Fisher show. Wrapping up the 2020-2021 season. Hey, should we do a reset? Aggs win 41-27 over UNC. A&M finishes the season 9-1. Yeah. How was that? Was that a good reset?
It was a great reset. Likely a top 4 finish. Maybe a top 3, but probably not.
Oh, so this is, man. So can we talk about some predictions? Because I'm saying they're going to finish number 3. That's my latest prediction. You're saying no. I did predict that it was going to be a close game tonight. You thought it was going to be
like 21, 24 points.
Yeah, I was more in the 10-point range. So I expected this. I did go all in on A&M making the playoff.
You did.
Not just the number 4 team, but I kind of went all in on them being the number 3, right?
And you kind of did before Notre Dame lost in the championship game. Yeah, which you have still yet to pay off the shirt of shame bet.
Well, you can take that. No, I'm not going to drop trowel, Nick.
But you need to,
I do need to pay up. I also need a glass of water. I need some H2O at some point. So I guess Casey's going to take care of that. And I do need to pay up. This will be my first time ever putting this article of clothing on. I think it was something like 10-1 or 10-0 in bets. But damn, I got to do it. So here we go. This is live radio while Casey runs off and gets some hydration for me. That would be very much appreciated. Still waiting on somebody to bring up a good caller topic for the show. We haven't talked much about defense and where we think this defense goes. I'll start, though. Defensive line. Oh, my God. This is awful. I will say it looks much worse on me than it does on you. Just
Yeah. Well, the
terrible.
faces are all bigger on you than
They
are
really
on
are. That's fair.
Yeah.
It's fair, Mister. I'm running 5 miles a day now, so
No.
yeah, good for you.
No. I ran 5 miles
Good
today,
for you.
and then I'll take 5 days off
Mm-hmm.
in between because I'm old and my joints hurt. And yeah.
So let's
Anyway.
start with defensive line. Okay.
Reloading on the defensive line. I think that's going to be the theme.
Yes. Do we get to Marvin Leal back is the biggest question because he can go pro.
No, he cannot.
I believe he absolutely can go pro because Billy keeps talking about that, whether Leal makes the choice to come back. I think Bobby Brown still has to come back.
I think you have those guys
backwards. I have him backwards.
Yeah.
I don't.
This is Marvin Leal is a true sophomore, and Bobby Brown is a true junior. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, either way, one of them
come
back. And if they do, holy hell.
Yeah.
Best of luck.
But if Bobby Brown leaves, you've got guys like McKinley Jackson waiting in the wings. Jimbo continues to recruit elite defensive line classes.
Hang on. Yes, he continues to recruit elite defensive line classes. He just might have closed on the most elite defensive line class in the country, and by far and away the best one we've ever had at A&M.
Yeah.
So you're right, but you're still underselling it. What he just brought in the door is unbelievable and stacks on top of some real blue chip guys from last year as well. So,
yeah. Point being, yes, we brought in a crazy. Yes, I'm right about. Yeah, I don't know what your problem is. Anyway, this year's class is amazing. But the nice thing is we don't have to rely on them to come in and be studs on day one.
Just come in and lift weights and eat all the food you want.
All of it.
For a year.
Yeah.
Right? And maybe like McKinley Jackson, come in and get some snaps.
Get in the rotation.
Ball, yeah. Right? Show us what you got. But, man, the defensive line is going to be special next year. The secondary, we had some dudes absolutely ball out this year. We had some guys that we were counting on who sort of showed up occasionally. Like we didn't have Damani Richardson for a significant number of games this year. We had some young guys that we thought were gonna be in and out of the rotation and really make a big impact. Someone was tonight, Antonio Johnson, Eric Young. These were all guys that we were counting on to play early and to get better as the season went on. Had a lot of injuries, but you saw their impact when they were in there. And even tonight, these are guys that make plays. Jalen Jones, a lockdown corner all season on one side of the ball. Miles Jones is a big question mark. Miles Jones is one of those guys that could come back. And, man, if he did that, holy smokes. We didn't appreciate Miles Jones this year
until he was gone.
Yeah, we've joked about this before. Gabe Bach sort of talking about All-American candidacy for Miles Jones. Everybody's like, "What? Wait!" And then all of a sudden he was gone, and you realize we missed that too. So did Brian? So Brian George played pretty well. I don't know that I quite agree with that. I think he had his moments tonight. Got completely picked on against Tennessee.
In his first start. He is a true freshman.
Yes. No, is Brian George a freshman?
I thought he was, but now am I going to be wrong?
Brian George is a transfer. Yeah. Let me take a look. 16, Brian George, transfer junior from Highland, Kansas Community College. So, not a freshman.
Okay,
it's 1-1. We're 1-1 right now. Okay.
No, I get 2 for knowing Bobby Brown and Leal. You missed on 2 of those.
Whatever. Fair enough. But Brennan, you're saying he played well tonight. I still disagree. Okay. I don't think he played well. Okay. There were way too many times where some dudes were still behind him. I thought some other guys played better, but hey, that is what it is. I'd like to see that secondary keep growing. There's some real talent coming in. I mean, we keep saying that. There's just blue chip guys flowing into this program. So you should just expect this thing, their ceiling, to keep going up.
You should. If I'm going to get greedy, I would like to see more Jalen Joneses coming in every year.
Yeah,
maybe at least
fair.
one every year, because that's what we're up against in Tuscaloosa, is pulling in at least one of those. And Baton Rouge and Georgia, pulling in at least one of those guys every year. So, yeah.
Like a day one lockdown.
Yeah.
Yes.
Which is almost what Jalen Jones has been.
Yeah.
So I'm glad we at least get 2 more years of that guy. But
yeah, who was fighting for the diving catch in the end zone? I think you're talking about the one the guy bobbled, and that was Antonio Johnson Jr. He did get a hand on that. I thought he made a great play to disrupt that pass. The receiver just made a better play to recover with the ball in the air. I think that kid, if he had been healthy this season and not got hurt early on, would have been an absolute stud for us. I think he's that good. And the expectation going into the season was that if he didn't start from day one, he would be starting a couple of games into the season, and then he got injured. So I think that guy's going to be fantastic. Opposite, at least somewhere in the secondary.
And let's not forget, Elijah Blades played tonight after opting out at the beginning of the season. I think he did play. I thought they called his.
I don't know.
I could be wrong, but he opted back in late in the season and didn't really play. I think Tennessee was his first game to dress, and there was word that he might get to play tonight. I don't think after opting out, the locker room wasn't going to accept that guy just walking back in and playing. And
like a speeding oil.
Yeah. And rightfully so. But Blades is a guy I think maybe got some bad advice early in the year. Hopefully realized late that this was probably a bad move. And hopefully I think we'll decide to come back and get another year of tape and try to go to the NBA. Yeah, because he needs it if he wants to play in the NFL. A guy's not going to get drafted.
Right.
And we'll struggle to get an undrafted free agent contract. So that would be
very
nice.
Talented football player. So, a guy who absolutely could benefit from being one of those kind of fifth-year seniors.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, would that be his 3rd year in the system?
Yeah.
Yeah. So 3 years in Jimbo's system and Mike Elko's defense could really benefit. So as long as Mike Elko's here, cross your fingers that we're not having to hunt for a new defensive coordinator. I think this defense is going to be phenomenal. Guys, I mean, going into this season, if somebody had told me we were going to have a top 3 defense in the SEC, holy crap. That would have changed your expectations considerably for the season, especially if you pair that with saying you may have the best offensive line in the country. Because we were all scared to death of what this offensive line was going to be. And, so that's why we're here tonight. That's all of that coming together. So, holy smokes.
9-1, top 4 finish.
Unbelievable.
Which is a thing that for some reason all of, I don't know, the Sooner Nation and Horn Nation have been holding against A&M for some, I don't know. Apparently we're one of 2 teams in like the last 60 years to never finish in the top 4, which I say, who gives a shit?
Yeah.
We're going to finish in the top 4 this year. So, congratulations. I don't know. Anyway.
I don't know either,
What is
man.
this?
This is a terrible view of defensive statistics that I just pulled up, and I'm not going to waste my time on it. God, man. Yeah. Just F the haters. Good Lord.
F them so much.
So much. There was so much hate this year, and so much I refuse to say A&M. The words A&M will not come out of my mouth throughout this year. And we've talked a million times about what we think drives that, but how satisfying to just eat it. You guys just eat it. You just gotta dwell on it, and you gotta suck on it for 8 months. And that's just sour, right? And they'll come back next year. And look, Kirk Herbstreit tweeting,
"Kiss my ass, Kirk."
Yeah, congratulations to Texas A&M, a great football season. Dude, that guy shall not be allowed in the city limits of College Station for a while, in my opinion. I'm just absolutely just disgusted by the whole way that this college football season was covered, all the different agendas that the different media guys pushed and elevated trash football teams in order to support their agendas and their narratives, which is really just the destruction of college football. That's really what they want. If you really read between the lines of the Wolkins and the Brandos, and I'm missing one, the Stuart Mandells of the world, these guys want the system just completely broken apart. And look, they may be right about that. They actually might be right that there actually does need to be something different set up. But the way they're going about it, and the things that they use to illustrate or push their agenda are just horrible. Like, they're just destructive, and they're self-loathing, and they're pathetic is what they are in the end of it. They're just pathetic.
They are, and at times they're using A&M to do it.
Yes, and we seem to be the team that they used this year. And they were just waiting for us to trip up so they could say, "I told you so." And we didn't. So, double birds. Okay, I'm giving you the Tom Herman.
Yeah, Tom Herman.
This is the Tom Herman right
Tom
here.
Herman now.
The double birds to all of those guys. God, I really shouldn't do that. I shouldn't put that on tape. I have to edit that out. That was terrible.
You have to leave that in. You have to.
So,
because they deserve it.
Kind of sit back and give myself a moment to just enjoy that.
Oh no, Brendan Malloy is chatting us a tweet.
Oh,
that is Buddy Johnson's handle. So what is this tweet?
What is Buddy? So it doesn't really work that way, Brendan. I have to copy and paste.
Oh, right click.
What are you talking about?
Oh, you son of a bitch!
No,
right click on the link. Yes, it does.
Oh, go to. Oh, wow.
Jesus.
Just learned a new trick.
God, okay, Boomer. God, boy, that cooler was heavy as
Am I hashtagging?
Oh, and Jimbo got burners, and he had people. Okay, thanks, Brendan.
Look,
that's a great tweet.
Buddy, that sounds like an excuse. Okay? Sounds like maybe you were missing 25 of your players, and you just want to make an excuse. No, I'm sorry, buddy. That's not true. And great tackle on the third and long in which you pushed Sam Howell out of bounds, a yard and a half short of the first down. That was awesome.
It was.
So, well done. Great season for Buddy Johnson.
Great season.
Go make some money, dude. You earned it. You played your ass off this year. And you led. So, you led that defense. Yeah. Good work.
Buddy doesn't watch the show.
Buddy's not watching the show, but I know Brendan will pass along our sentiments to him next time he runs into him at a Buc-ee's somewhere or, whatever. So thanks, Brendan. Appreciate that. again, just appreciate all you guys watching. There's so many of you.
There's
5.
There's 5.
There's 5.
And they're all family, basically.
Well, no. I mean, look. It's been quite a few people dropping in, and you know what? They'll listen to the podcast this week because college football season's over, and they're gonna be desperate for content, and we're here for that.
We're here to provide
here,
that mediocre content that fills in the 8-month off season.
Yes, absolutely. Brennan, go ahead and send us any more tweets now that I learned the quick right-click go-to functionality within the chat. I really appreciate that, so I can get to them quicker and we can discuss.
Oh, gosh.
So fire away. Appreciate you, buddy.
Man.
Oh, what are we going to talk about now? There's one topic we could talk about. No?
What? Are you talking about what's
Texas
happening down
fired
south?
Tom Herman today. Those assholes waited until we were going to play our bowl. Look, I told you this would happen. So going back to predictions.
Okay.
All right, we're going back to predictions. I said I would be shocked if Tom Herman made it to February. Yeah. I said that, okay? Even after Del Conte came out and said, no, he's going to be our coach in 2021. Not like in the 2021 season, because these reporters did follow up and wanted to get him on record as saying the 2021 season. And I still said no. No. And the reason being, because that dude got his ass kicked in recruiting. He got absolutely torched in recruiting. Primarily because of what the University of Texas
they did it
to him. Right? They put themselves in a position where they had to fire him. Because 2022 is loaded. And with Quinn Ewers, however you want to say it, decommitting from Texas and deciding to commit to Ohio State, that was the nail in the coffin. You cannot have a surefire, 5-star, uber-talented, unbelievable quarterback from Southlake, Texas, give you the Heisman and go to Ohio State. And after being committed to you, right, you cannot suffer that sort of humiliation. And I will maintain 100% that hiring Stark is all about Quinn Ewers. I think it is 1,000% about getting that kid back in the boat, back into that 22 class and trying to salvage something out of that class because they have no momentum. No. And if you fail in that class, you're toast for 5 years, especially after finishing in the lower top 20 in the recruiting rankings this cycle, while A&M is killing you. Oklahoma still beating you. Yeah. Like just falling further and further behind. So I'm not shocked.
No. I don't think Sark is going to get Quinn Ewers. I'm going to go on record right now.
You're going on record. I disagree. Well, and if he doesn't, God help him. Because he has to have that. This is a guy who doesn't have Texas recruiting ties. He doesn't have like this presence in the high schools in the state of Texas. You could do a mediocre job recruiting the state of Texas in 2022 and still end up with a hell of a class. But if you think the SEC rated this year's class, wait till you see what they and A&M do in 2022. And Sarkisian is going to have to do something. Maybe buy this kid a freaking Land Rover. I don't know. Well, he probably already.
The dude's already got a Land Rover.
He's got a Land Rover. Yeah, and he borrows Dad's Ferrari on the weekend. I don't know about this kid. I'm just. Yes,
you heard Southlake. He's got a Land Rover. Yeah,
right. I think they hung 59 on Trinity today. Absolutely destroyed.
59 on Trinity?
It was either 55 or 59 points. Absolutely destroyed Trinity today.
Trinity had a kid score 59 by himself last week, basically.
Yeah, they wrecked Trinity pretty bad today. Wow. So they're going to the quarterfinals.
Quinn Ewers is in his Range Rover having a gasoline fight right now.
Yeah, absolutely. So they hired a coordinator. Look, they hired a good one. You know, Sarkisian's a fantastic offensive mind. He's been a train wreck as a head coach. He really has. Had some, he was Kevin Sumlin. That's what he was. Like as far as record goes, okay. he had one good year at USC and multiple bad years, and then got into a lot of trouble. And I hope the guy has his life together. I'm just saying the track record isn't great. And if Texas fans are celebrating today, more power to them. Okay. I think after Urban Meyer, they were all so damn depressed about keeping Tom Herman that this actually is good news to them. It really is. But, the University of Texas going after an offensive coordinator at another school does not match the profile of being the Joneses. So,
Nope.
And by the way, a coordinator who maintained the standard at Alabama under Nick Saban. So don't tell me that Steve Sarkisian is a reason that Alabama is who they are. If Steve Sarkisian shows up in Austin with 8 future first-round draft picks on his offense, maybe he can replicate that kind of success.
Yeah.
But that's what it takes because that's what they had, right? So, like I said, good luck, Sark. It'll at least be interesting.
It will be interesting. Absolutely.
So,
but yeah, good luck, Sark. And now would be a great time to point out that since it is official that Tom Herman is fired, and they are going to pay his $15 million buyout.
I know what you're going to do. You're going to run the numbers.
I'm going to run the numbers.
Let's run the numbers. This is the run the numbers segment.
Honestly, I don't remember all of the numbers off the top of my head, but I do know that the big number is just shy of $40 million. And that's what they spent on Tom Herman for 4 seasons. They spent $10 million a year on Tom Herman. They spent $10 million a year on Charlie Strong. Over the last 7 seasons, they have spent $70 million on their coaches. An average of $10 million a year. So you guys can all go to hell with your $75 million Jimbo contract.
That's my line, by the way.
Oh.
Go to hell.
That
was my line. Yeah. But you can have it.
Yeah. No,
I appreciate that.
Sure.
Because it's true.
It's true. Paying great coaches, their market rate is cheap, and firing bad coaches is expensive.
That's your line.
That's my line.
And also true. So
also true.
Texas, eat a bag and go to hell. And I'm here for it all day long. Had a Texas fan in the house tonight during the game.
Oh, yeah?
Celebrating every time that Mac Brown tied up A&M or took the lead and quickly made an exit, right before we ran it in to take the lead and then take care of business against UNC.
I would love to hear what that fan had to say about Mac Brown 7 years ago.
Yeah. Well, the end of the Mac Brown era was not pretty.
No.
So, so much about the last decade in Austin has not been pretty. Guys, just be thankful it's not really our problem anymore. They are not our problem. The Big 12 is not our problem, and their little man complex is not our problem. You know what? We should pause for a moment because I do want to give props to one team and one head coach in the Big 12. And that is Iowa State.
That is the guy that they should have hired.
The guy they 1,000% should have hired.
Yeah.
And is probably too smart to take that job, to be honest.
Yeah.
Even if they did pick up the phone, which they would not have.
No.
There's no way in hell that Del Conte, the associate or the athletic director at Texas, would have picked up the phone and called an Iowa State head coach to be the head coach at Texas. And that tells you everything you need to know about that university. But they absolutely should have.
They should have. I hope Matt Campbell takes it out on them.
I do too.
Just like Art Briles did when he was snubbed. Yeah. No, you're right.
What was the final score today against Oregon?
I don't know.
34 to 17.
17.
Okay.
Yeah.
And look, I mean, Oregon ranked 25. Oregon's not a great football team.
ranked
But
25 on the strength of beating a USC team that we really don't know anything about.
yep,
I know that Oregon lost to Oregon State, which we do know something
trash,
about, and that is they are trash.
trash. So,
Trash.
but Iowa State beat them soundly today, doubled them up, and capped off a pretty remarkable season. I wish they had gotten OU in that championship game because, and they almost did. They really almost did. They almost came back and got them. They played a hell of a season. Matt Campbell's an unbelievable football coach, and from everything I've read, I actually think Iowa State's they're a program that isn't going away in that league. They've recruited okay, but he's proven he can coach those dudes up. Facilities wise, they made all the investments you need to make, and I think they're going to be like what we thought TCU could be every year under Gary Patterson, and he just kind of comes in and out of.
But
so we'll see.
I was actually about to make that exact comparison because I think there's a very good reason why TCU is in and out, and I think you're going to see the same thing from Iowa State, even if Matt Campbell hangs around. So I don't know. We'll see.
Matt Campbell just seems like the kind of guy, though, that really knows how to be a football coach and doesn't make an ass out of himself. And Gary Patterson kind of has that quality to them, like where, you know what I mean? Like Pitts Patterson is Pitts for a reason. God, we're watching A&M UNC highlights up here on the big screen and looking at the bomb to Downs down the left sideline, gets behind the defense. Buddy Johnson and Leon with a really, really bad.
Buddy Johnson somehow further downfield than Leon.
That shouldn't happen. So very frustrating play in this game.
Yeah.
Just a really big breakdown. Here's the play by Anais Smith, the cutback, breaks a tackle, breaks another. And
if Lane keeps playing football, Anais probably scores on that play. But now we're going to get the scramble from Kellen Mond.
Just beats him to the edge and scores.
Yep.
Actually, just run as fast as you can, Kellen, because you're fast. So just do it.
And now here is A-Chain with my gosh,
just like shot out of a cannon.
And then
look at the linebacker. The linebacker was within 7 yards of him at midfield, and immediately
gave up.
Like in an instant, recognized, nope. I can't. That will not happen. So I'm not going to pull a hamstring trying to keep up with that rocket.
Oh, gosh.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, look at how excited Anais Smith is.
Good point, because Anais was celebrating with him. Spiller was very, he was right there with A-Chain and celebrating with him and after the game. And surrender Cobra Dumbface. That was amazing. Like, you got the combo. And we got a UNC kid on TV crying.
Yes, crying.
I'm there for that all day, guys. I really am.
It's a kid. He was seriously like 10.
Yeah, no, he was a little kid, and I'm here for that. I love it. I mean, I know what that felt like.
There we are eating oranges.
Yes, the visual of our players, like not just eating oranges, but like attacking oranges, like the oranges had disrespected them all season. Like, that was, and squeezing oranges and man, look, oranges are sticky.
They are, but they're delicious.
Yes, they are good. Like, we shouldn't be squeezing oranges. We should gently be peeling them, eating them one piece at a time. Oranges. Not. That was quite a scene. Oh, here we go. Cam. So that's Cam, huh?
That's Cam Buckley.
Just tearing into that orange.
Like, I haven't got to play football all year, and I will eat the tar out of this orange.
Eating this orange, like, oh man, that was incredible. And I do love this statistic that ESPN did show. Surprisingly, I'm not sure. I thought maybe it would be outlawed, but showing that Jimbo Fisher, one of 3 head coaches to have with minimum 10 bowl games to have an 800 win percentage in bowls. With Urban Meyer, it was
O'Brien?
yeah,
Is that what it
was
said?
O'Brien.
I didn't
and
recognize
Jimbo
the
Fisher,
name, to be honest.
So,
but
a fantastic record in bowl games. Don't take that lightly, folks. That's folks.
no, because bowl
Folks.
games are weird. Like we said,
They are weird.
Yeah,
And you have to get up for bowl games.
and they're getting weirder because of the opt out.
They're getting weirder.
The
Yes.
merger. Yeah. Anyway.
30 Rock reference?
Yes.
Damn, that's awesome. The guys, I don't know what to tell you. We're at that point in the show.
Yeah.
We're running out of steam, and
I am done drinking.
and oxygen levels in our blood. So
I'm done drinking.
yeah, I need more water. I think that's a good point. We should probably stop. It's 1 o'clock in the morning.
No. Oh dear.
It is 1 a.m. So look, the last post-game show of the 2020-2021 season, Aggies win 9-1. Orange Bowl champions.
Champions.
This is the
We're
dumbest
the
thing.
champs.
We're the champs of the Orange Bowl. Okay? Arr. Eat those oranges. It was fun. This was fun. And we will definitely be doing some more fun things in the weeks ahead. We're talking about doing like a full season kind of retrospective game by game. We'll figure out a way to make that entertaining for you guys. And, a couple of other ideas. Actually, really, we don't have that many ideas. But if you want to send in some ideas.
Send some ideas.
That would be awesome. Because I think a few of you have really enjoyed this. And, we'd like to keep pumping out some content. And, like we said, this is therapy.
Therapy.
This is definitely therapy. And it's cheaper than paying somebody for it. So we've enjoyed it. Subscribe out to the podcast. Hit us up on Twitter. And beat the hell out of the off season. Bye.
Bye.